Hi, my name's Keller. Going to do a little video on Tesla accepting Bitcoin and tax systems. So this is just kind of a response to some tax ideas that some people have of a wealth tax and how to do that. And then also to talk about Bitcoin accepting, Tesla accepting Bitcoin. So Elon tweeted out 2 days ago that you can now purchase a Bitcoin, purchase a Tesla with Bitcoins, and that if you pay in Bitcoins, then you do not, he won't sell your Bitcoins on the market. So let's go ahead and take a little look at what that looks like and how you can maximize your advantage with this. So if you take the Bitcoins and you get what I would recommend, a long range Model Y, I think is a very good car. Just as it comes is pretty good defaults. I really wouldn't worry about any of the extras aside maybe full self-driving. Let's go ahead and just add it for the purposes of this discussion. And then I'm going to continue with the payment, and I'm going to click, instead of cash, I'm going to click loan here. So what can happen here is, I need to, boom. Okay, there you go. So what could happen here is I can pay $100 to reserve my reservation. I'm getting 2.5% interest, and my payments are $850 a month, and I might get a $7,000 tax credit immediately. So that's payments of $850, $850 times 12, $10,000 a year, or $10,000 in Bitcoin a year, plus some amount for insurance a month. I'm not sure how much. Let's just say $300 a month. It could be more. So you're paying a total of about $14,000. I just say $12,000 for rounding, because you might not get the full self-driving, And then you can put your Bitcoins on this website here, Nexo, and if you take some Bitcoins and you pop it here, you won't get 8. Okay, now I need to move this over again. You won't get 8% APR, but you will get 5%, or maybe 6%, but you'll at least get 5%. And so take that, divide it by the, you need to come up with $12,000 every year, divide that by 5%. That's how much you need in Bitcoins at the current price point. So about 4.3 Bitcoins, but let's just call it 4 Bitcoins. So you take 4 Bitcoins that are worth about 55,000 right now. You put them onto Nexo. You get 5% interest paid in Bitcoin, $11,000 a year, $11,000 in Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's going up, you get more. If Bitcoin's going down, you get a little less. And then you give this over to Elon Musker, to the Tesla community. And you, and you click the pay in Bitcoin button here. So it's $100 paid in Bitcoin. You fill out all the details. I'm not going to go to it right now. And then he gives you an estimate as to how much you need to pay in Bitcoin. And you send him these Bitcoins, and he will never sell these Bitcoins. And for the capital gains on your end, you don't really have much capital gains, because you're not paying from your old Bitcoins. You're paying from newly acquired Bitcoins. So that's the whole trick, to pay from newly acquired Bitcoins. So what I would like to see with the Bitcoin community is that we have 100,000 Teslas paid for in this fashion. And so if we have 100,000 Teslas paid at, let's say, $60,000 per Tesla, that's $6 billion of Bitcoin paid over the course of 6 years. So none of us should pay quickly. We should all do a loan, exactly like I'm doing here. So basically, that's $1 billion a year that Tesla will be adding in Bitcoin to their balance sheet if we can start $100,000 of payments using Bitcoin. Of course, the $6 billion is a relevantly large number to the amount of Tesla and Bitcoin inflation each year, which is roughly 16 billion. So 6 billion is quite a bit of the 16, or if you take the cumulative over 4 years, the 60 billion. It's 10% of all the inflation all the future inflation of Bitcoin at the current price point. And then also, if you buy Tesla stock, which I do, then that's of course good for Tesla stock. Now, some people get upset that this kind of wealth where I've lost some money on my Tesla stocks. Okay, so to talk about some mistakes I've made in my trading. The biggest mistake I made that was an obvious mistake was at this time in February 4th. I didn't have 450,000 the whole time. Robinhood's weird. I had like 10,000 the whole time, and then like 30,000, then 50,000, and then about 500 right here is when I deposited the rest of the money. So on February the 8th, I had a very easy decision to liquidate a lot of risky positions I had, where I would have got paid out 90% of my possible profit. And I was too busy with taxes to liquidate. I 100% should have liquidated about $50,000 worth, maybe 10% of my portfolio or 20% or something. February 8th, I absolutely should have done that. And that was a pretty obvious. I was getting paid out 90% of the max payout. Like if I held it 2 more years, I could collect, or 1 more year, I could collect another 10%. But I absolutely should have taken that payout. That's pretty obvious. That was a mistake. Just busy with tax stuff. I invested kind of heavily around here, and then obviously that was a bad decision because the market has gone down since. But I don't feel too bad about that. Like that might turn into $50,000 of losses, but I think that's kind of unpredictable losses. Whereas this not selling at that point in particular, which I was considering doing, not selling at that point was a highly predictable loss. I did invest aggressively at this point, so I feel good at that. Like when Tesla dipped down to 500,000 or whatever, 550,000, 525, 50,000, I invested some more, so I feel good about that. And then in terms of that was one thing. So not selling there was an obvious mistake. Investing heavily here, I don't mind that I did that. I think that's a non-obvious mistake. And then I made some other kind of silly moves. I should have invested into ARC Genome as opposed to I tried to pick the individual stocks. I should have just done this one. I wanted to get genome exposure, and I did the results were similar, but had I just done ARC Genome, I wouldn't have had to think about it at all, which is a big advantage when you're doing stock trading. That's probably the only other mistake I made of significance. And that's more of just clumsiness than anything. So that's kind of the biggest. That's the only things that I've done, but that were big numbers, good and bad. I did some good longs on Bitcoin and shorts on Bitcoins, but anyway, relatively small potatoes. So that's that. And then when it comes to taxation, so the big thing I want to emphasize here is you always want to buy your car in Bitcoin. You always want to pay in Bitcoin. You want to force Tesla into holding $1 billion more Bitcoin on their balance sheet every year. This will improve the performance of the Tesla stock, which is good for everyone who buys Tesla call options. And then it's good for Bitcoin for everybody who invests into Bitcoin. And it's good for you because you get to drive around in the safest car known to man, pretty much. And it's like a full-powered electric. I mean, I'm mostly doing the Cybertrucks, but all the same, Teslas are really good cars. So it's the only car you can buy in Bitcoin, And you can, instead of buying the car outright, you just deposit your Bitcoins over to Nexo, and then you get paid interest in Bitcoins, which you can then use to, if you can put 4 Bitcoins down, then you can get your Tesla for free, pretty much, or thereabouts. Okay, so now for taxation. So a lot of people are talking about doing wealth tax. Capital gains tax in America is a little bit silly. It's 25%. It's not 20% like most people tell you. It's 25%, and in a lot of countries there is no capital gains tax. That's the main thing that Americans are not going to be aware of. Germany doesn't have capital gains tax. Puerto Rico doesn't have capital gains tax. Switzerland might not, or it might be kind of different. China might not. Russia might not. A lot of countries don't have capital gains tax, like maybe Great Britain and America are the only two of the big nations that have it as much as we do. And so wealth tax, which is what some people are proposing, of like 2 or 3% tax on wealth, that's not really going to work. It's not a terrible idea in the scheme of things, but it's not going to work because you just move whenever the tax actually hits you. Now, Bill Gates will know a way around it. Some other people will know ways around it. Otherwise, if you're a regular person or whatever, you just move to Puerto Rico, or you move to Panama or wherever you feel like, the immigrants or whatever, UAF or something, United Arab Immigrants. So a more logical, sensible approach to do for your wealth tax is to treat wealthy people like bankers and force them to hold large amounts of cash. That's the best way to deal with rich people. And so I wouldn't have a problem with this, and it would be effective for the American economy. So there's things that are worthwhile in the world, like Tesla stock and Bitcoin. And there's another company that I'm going to purchase or invest into that's not listed. It's an angel. You need to be an angel investor to do it. After I get invested, I'll let you guys know about it. But yeah, so like innovative consumer tech is a great industry to be in as a whole, and I don't care if it's electric cars, electric money, or electric other types of benefits to mankind. But innovative consumer tech is great industry, very, very, very profitable, spreads like wildfire once you have a good idea and a good model to go on. And so this is good for the world. And you put your money into these things, and these are like the fastest growing assets. They grow at about 100% a year. Innovative consumer tech is about 100% growth a year if you're on the leading edge. If you're kind of behind a little bit, like if you're just now getting into Amazon, iPhone, etc., Google, then it grows at like 30%, 50% a year instead of 100%. And then the S&P grows at like 25%. And then consumer goods, like what you spend for groceries, grows about $2,000 a year, what people call inflation. It's better not to think about it in terms of percentages. You want to think $2,000 of inflation a year. And so so that's kind of how inflation works. $2,000 of inflation, so you got to get like a $5,000 raise every year just to get the same stuff that you could the previous year. And then you need to get a 25% raise if you want to keep up with the S&P 500, and like 100% raise if you want to keep up with innovative consumer tech, which of course is like quite difficult. So So how do you tax these people is the question of the day. And the real thing that you don't want to do is do capital gains tax, which creates an excessively volatile market and punishes people for a good investment. And what you want to do instead is force rich people to hold large amounts of cash, which is more like a wealth tax, which is much closer to a wealth tax. And so this is the price for a Model Y if you don't get the FSD. It's $8,400 a month. Insurance is going to be $12,000 total with insurance. So what I think will happen in the very near future, and the reason that I might recommend getting full FSD, is that I could see Tesla creating a rideshare service where Uber drivers borrow your Model Y from you for like a day, and they give you $20,000 a year to rent out your Model Y with FSD doing the majority of the driving, and the Uber personnel is just kind of like a supervisor of the driving. And if you did something like this every single day, 20 hours a day, you could pay two drivers $80,000 a year. You could pay them, maybe $60,000 a year between three different drivers using your car all the time. And then you would get $20,000 to go toward the payments of your vehicle, which are $10,000, which is like $12,000 a year. So you'd have like $8,000 a year profit. And then Tesla would get about $70,000 from their cut of the fees, which is like what Uber does and Lyft does. So currently Tesla profits, just kind of think about these things for a little bit. Currently Tesla profits about $20,000 for every car they sell, maybe $15,000. But they profit about $20,000 for every car they sell. And if they start doing a FSD rideshare program where there's like a 4-star driver, like a person who never gets in wrecks, and normal Lyft and Uber driver who's supervising the driving of your Tesla, then you can profit like $5,000 to $10,000 more than your payments for the Tesla each year. Or Tesla could do their own fleet of cars, which I expect them to do, of about 50,000 vehicles. But you can profit like $5,000 to $10,000 a year by renting it out to Tesla, the Uber driver. You're going to put about 100,000 miles on your car, so you'll put quite a lot of miles on the vehicle. The drivers of your car, the supervisors, are going to make about $60,000 to $80,000 a year, which is, of course, a pretty substantial, phenomenal pay. The customers are going to get a really good deal. And then Tesla, which is more relevant than anything for the reason I bring it up, Tesla is going to make $80,000 per car. They're going to make $60,000 per year in addition to the $20,000 up front. So they make $20,000 profit up front, and then they make $60,000 profit, let's say for the next 5 years or whatever. Let's say you do it no more than 5 years, 500,000 miles on your vehicle. For the next 5 years, Tesla is going to make $300,000 more profit. So they start off making 20, and then they make 300,000 per vehicle on the back end that participates. Now you can only do about 50,000, 100,000 vehicles this way. That's the current demand for rideshare services. In terms of max utility of a vehicle, about 100,000, maybe 200,000 vehicles. And Tesla plans to sell about 1 million vehicles per year. So rideshare will be kind of maxed out. But this will be great for getting autonomous data, and this will be great for preparing for robotaxi, collecting information. And just be aware of these little DeFi services where you can get like 12% on the dollar bills. It's really 10%. You can get 10% on the dollar bills you deposit, 5-6% on the Bitcoins you deposit. So these are some really cool things, cool features to be aware of. And then for the taxation system, the way you want to do the taxation system is you want to force people into the shitcoin. So as mentioned, Tesla, Bitcoin is the real coin, and US dollar bills is the shitcoin. If you have the option of Tesla or Bitcoins or dollar bills, you're a moron to decide dollar bills are the majority of your preference. So bankers are forced into holding 10% of their assets into US dollar bills. And rich people, let's just say somebody over $1 million, people over $1 million could be forced into holding 20% of their assets in dollar bills. So that would be like $200,000 for someone of $1 million, or like Elon, who has like $150 billion, he'd be forced into holding $30 billion of dollar bills. I would be forced into holding like $500,000 in dollar bills. And so the reason you do that is these things lose value, and this effectively forces me to be more aggressive with my. And the other tax that you want to do is force nonprofits to spend 10% of their endowments every year. You want to force nonprofits to liquidate their endowments and to not allow them to become slush funds, which they are. And so So it's 10% of all their endowments every year in operations. Harvard has like a $40 billion slush fund. You want to force them to spend $4 billion of that, spend more than they take in $4 billion in the next year and every year going forward until the pool is diminished to like some sensible level. And so, and likewise, force them to hold 20 billion of cash, 20% cash, which would be 8 billion cash. So this would help to stabilize the asset values, and you remove capital gains entirely. Remove capital gains, remove the concept of wealth tax. Instead, you just force people to hold a terrible asset, which is U.S. dollar bills, and you force them to hold 20% of that asset. And then when it comes to the new money printing, the how you spend the tax, of course, currently poor people, regular people are going to get no benefit from any taxes they collect, the government collects. So what you do for spending the tax is you say that the spending of the tax can only be done via stimulus. So let's see if I can make this bigger here. So you make it so that you spend the tax via stimulus, and then there you go. And then, in stimulus, I mean the checks. I mean mailing out the checks to people. So you make it so that you force nonprofits and the wealthy, people over $1 million, to hold 20% of their assets into U.S. dollar bills, and then you force nonprofits to liquidate in trust. You force them to spend 10% of their assets each year to dwindle those down to not allow them to be multi-generational tax shelters. And then that would take care of both your wealth tax, your capital gains tax, and it would stabilize the market. Because if Elon had $30 billion of USD and the Tesla stock went down substantially, then Elon, most of his wealth is relative to Tesla stock, then Elon would only need to have 15 billion of USD. He could take the other 15 billion that he overbought previously and use that to repurchase Tesla stock, stabilizing the price of Tesla stock or Bitcoin, whichever you choose. And that's how it helps to stabilize the market. And he can sell at high prices without fears of capital gains or long-term gains. All he has to worry about is holding a certain amount of USD. And then for the economy as a whole, if new USD, and I would say 100% of new USD, if 100% of new USD was the only way that we created new USD was issuing checks to people directly, in particular children and so forth, maybe you might issue checks in the nature of $12,000 a year for children. And then once you're able to accomplish that, you might do whatever, maybe $8,000 for other people up till the age about 25 is when I kind of think people should start to at least have jobs at this point, be more independent. But for family people, I know a lot of people with like 2-3 children, and if they got, $30,000 of government assistance, I wouldn't feel bad about that at all. For the population that they're creating, who we can then put them into a more stable and predictable investment environment, which is Tesla and Bitcoins. So that was my rant on some stock plays that I made, some of my stock regrets, and then how I would tax, and then why you should, why we need to get $100,000 Tesla vehicles sold, paid only in Bitcoin, and you want to do that on a loan, and you want to deposit your Bitcoins onto Nexo, and then pay for your car over 7 years to Tesla, and force Tesla to force Tesla to add $1 billion of Bitcoin to their balance sheet. And the car you want to buy is either your basic Model Y, possibly with full self-driving. You absolutely want to get the solar roof. You want to get a solar roof and a power wall at a minimum. And then you really want the baddest MF around the land, the cyber truck. So just order your little cyber truck over here. I already got 5 of these on order, to be honest with you. But order your Cybertruck, $40,000. Pay this guy, the little screen's not coming up, but pay this in Bitcoin, and maybe add full self-driving to your order. I think it was $7,000 when I added it, but I think it's going to be more now. But I think full self-driving with Cybertruck is probably a good idea. The tri-motor is 500 miles range, and then the dual motor, which for off-roading is ideal, at least a dual motor that's 300 miles range, and it's an extra 10,000. So I think it's pretty suitable, really. The dual motor, and then the tri-motor, 500-mile range is that's pretty baller. It's incredibly fast. I mean, 0 to 360 in under 3 seconds. That's incredibly fast. So, yeah. And then let's see if it lets me. It won't let me scroll anymore, it seems like. So, yeah, this thing's going to be really cool. Elon posted an update. He said it doesn't have handles anymore. He said it's going to be a little bit smaller, so it fits into your garage a little bit easier. I think it's a little bit thinner. I think it's a little bit thinner steel or whatever. I know it's going to be able to stop a 9mm handgun. 9mm. It's going to be able to stop a 9mm handgun, and I know that the glass will be able to also stop a 9mm gun. And the walls can actually stop, I think, a rifle. I'm pretty sure, but the windows can't stop a sniper rifle. So that's kind of what that looks like. And it comes with a 240 volt charger, I believe, so you can put a hot tub in the truck of the thing. He shows it towing this. I think that you'll just end up getting 2 Cybertrucks instead of U-Haul. You'll just end up buying 2 Cybertrucks and have one of the Cybertrucks follow the other Cybertrucks on FSD. I think that just makes the most sense. This is kind of like his camping setup that he recommends you do. And the Cybertruck has 16 inches of clearance, so you can drive it in the mountains. The wheels auto inflate or whatever, so just like a Hummer, you can inflate the wheels if you comes with, you can get this little ATV thing. I forgot about that thing. Oh geez, I mean, there's so much going on with the Cybertruck, dude. So much going on with Cybertruck. It's gonna be cool. And if you put in a reservation now, you're gonna get your Cybertruck around 2023. So it's $100 to put in a reservation, and you will have about a year to decide whether or not you want to keep it. But people are going to start driving Cybertrucks late 2021, like December 2021. You're going to see quite a few Cybertrucks on the road. The FSD is going to be kicking here in the next, by June 2021. FSD is going to be incredibly good. So at $50,000, $40,000, $70,000, this Cybertruck is going to feel like a steal. It's going to feel like a steel made of steel, stainless steel. And that's what you got going on here. I just don't see this van being popular. I think you'll just get 2 Cybertrucks. And I just think you'll get 2 Cybertrucks. I think it'll just be cheaper. Unless he has van. So some people post that Elon has some secret, he's aiming for $1 million of cars to be sold this year. And I think he might have the secret being that he's about to do a Tesla fleet of 50,000 to 100,000 vehicles. That's what I think he might do. And then, so you force rich people to hold 20% of their net worth in US dollar bills. And then for all new US dollar bills, you make it so that those can only be issued via checks directly to people. No 0% interest to banks. No PPP stuff to businesses. Only directly to people. And you remove capital gains, and you'll have a very stable economy that invests in innovation much quicker than the economy you have today. Okay, hope you liked that video, and talk to you later. Bye bye.